Imagine the grand tapestry of history, woven with threads of triumphs, tragedies, and transformative moments. But what if, interwoven within this fabric, lie threads of pure fabrication? Could the narratives we hold dear, the figures we revere, even the foundational stories shaping our understanding of the past, be built upon cleverly constructed lies? It's a disquieting thought, isn't it? To consider that the very ground beneath our historical understanding might be shifting sand, undermined by elaborate deceptions. Think of the epic tales of mythology, gods battling, heroes rising, worlds created and destroyed. These stories, while not literally true, resonate with deeper cultural truths. But what happens when falsehood isn't mythic in scope but meticulously crafted, presented as genuine history, designed to manipulate belief and distort reality? These are the historical hoaxes, the masterful fabrications that have not only fooled experts but have reshaped perceptions and, in some cases, altered the course of nations. Have you ever felt a nagging doubt about a historical claim, a sense that something just doesn't quite add up? That instinct is sharper than you might realize. Because history is not just a collection of facts, it's a narrative, and narratives can be sculpted, embellished, or outright invented. The desire to believe, the hunger for compelling stories, the very human tendency to accept what confirms our biases, these are the fertile grounds where historical hoaxes take root and flourish. Prepare to challenge your assumptions. Get ready to question the narratives you've inherited, because we are about to plunge into the shadowy world of historical hoaxes. You'll uncover not just what was fake, but how these deceptions were constructed, why they succeeded, and, most importantly, what these revelations teach us about the very nature of truth, belief, and the stories we tell ourselves about the past. The line between reality and fabrication is about to become fascinatingly and perhaps unsettlingly blurred. Building upon the intrigue sparked by the possibility of fabricated histories, let's consider the very nature of storytelling itself. From the epic poems of ancient Greece to the creation myths of cultures worldwide, narrative has always been fundamental to human understanding. Mythology, in its essence, offers symbolic truths, grand metaphors for the human condition. But what occurs when the art of narrative is twisted, not to illuminate, but to intentionally deceive, cloaked in the guise of factual history? This is where we encounter the realm of historical hoaxes. These are not merely harmless tall tales spun for amusement. Historical hoaxes are deliberate fabrications, cunningly crafted to masquerade as genuine historical accounts. They can take many forms: forged documents purporting to reveal secret pacts, fabricated artifacts unearthed to validate false narratives, or embellished stories presented as irrefutable truths. The motives behind these deceptions are as varied as the hoaxes themselves: political gain, financial enrichment, personal notoriety, or even simply the mischievous desire to fool the world. Why is understanding these deceptions crucial? Because in an era awash with information, discerning authenticity from fabrication is a paramount skill. The ease with which misinformation spreads today mirrors, in many ways, the historical susceptibility to hoaxes. Our inherent desire to believe compelling narratives, coupled with a lack of critical inquiry, leaves us vulnerable. We need to recognize the red flags, the patterns of deception, to protect ourselves from being misled by carefully constructed falsehoods. This exploration into historical hoaxes is not just an academic exercise. It's a vital lesson in critical thinking, a necessary inoculation against the allure of misinformation. By dissecting these elaborate deceptions from the past, we arm ourselves with the tools to navigate the complex landscape of information in the present. We aim to address a critical need, to cultivate a discerning eye, to empower you to question narratives, and ultimately, to become a more informed and resilient interpreter of history and the world around you. Imagine visually contrasting grand, inspiring mythological art with images of documents that are clearly forgeries to emphasize this contrast visually. Eager to uncover more historical hoaxes and separate fact from fiction? Subscribe now and join our community of truth seekers in the comments. Your thoughts, questions, and insights are invaluable as we collectively explore these fascinating deceptions. Let's delve deeper, learn together, and expose the myths that history often tries to conceal. To truly grasp the nature of historical hoaxes, we must move beyond simply identifying them and delve into the how and why behind their creation and endurance. A key step is understanding the anatomy of a hoax. Every successful deception, regardless of scale, shares common elements. Firstly, there's the initial claim, often sensational, designed to capture attention and pique curiosity. Think of tales of lost continents or secret societies controlling world events. Next, consider the evidence presented. This could be a forged manuscript, a manipulated artifact, or a carefully constructed narrative relying on selective facts and misinterpretations. The effectiveness of a hoax often hinges on its ability to seem plausible, to weave itself into existing beliefs or anxieties. Relatable scenarios emerge when we see how these hoaxes exploit pre-existing biases or cultural narratives. For example, a hoax playing on national pride might fabricate historical events that elevate a particular nation's past glory. Examining the motives behind a hoax is equally crucial. Who benefits from this deception being believed? Is it for political leverage, financial gain, or perhaps a more insidious agenda like social division? Understanding the why often unveils the true nature of the fabrication. Consider the fictional protocols of the Elders of Zion, designed to incite hatred by fabricating a Jewish conspiracy for world domination. The motive here was clear: to fuel anti-Semitism. Practical application lies in developing a discerning eye. Question extraordinary claims, especially those lacking solid evidence or relying heavily on emotional appeals. Scrutinize sources. Are they reputable and unbiased? Look for corroboration. Do independent sources confirm the claims? By applying these steps, we move from passive recipients of information to active investigators, equipped to dissect historical narratives and distinguish genuine insights from elaborate falsehoods. This critical approach is not just about debunking myths. It's about strengthening our understanding of truth itself. We live in an age of unprecedented information flow, a digital torrent where truth and falsehood often mingle indistinguishably. This era, sometimes termed the post-truth age, mirrors historical periods ripe for the flourishing of hoaxes. The ease with which misinformation spreads online, the echo chambers of social media, and the erosion of trust in traditional institutions create fertile ground for new deceptions to take root and thrive. Understanding historical hoaxes is not just an academic exercise. It is a critical survival skill in this information landscape. Consider the rise of conspiracy theories in recent years. From fabricated narratives surrounding global events to manipulated information influencing elections, we see echoes of historical hoaxes playing out in real time. The core problem is not just the existence of false information, but our collective vulnerability to it. We are facing a critical challenge: a widespread deficit in critical thinking and media literacy. This gap in understanding makes us susceptible to manipulation, both on a personal and societal level. Learning about historical hoaxes offers a vital antidote. By dissecting past deceptions, we gain a practical education in recognizing the patterns of misinformation. We learn to identify the telltale signs: emotional appeals over factual evidence, reliance on unreliable sources, and the exploitation of pre-existing biases. This is not just about debunking myths from the past. It's about building resilience against contemporary falsehoods. The urgency lies in equipping ourselves with the critical thinking tools necessary to navigate the complexities of the modern information age and to safeguard ourselves from the damaging effects of misinformation. The lessons from history are not dusty relics. They are urgently relevant survival skills for today. To navigate the landscape of historical hoaxes effectively, we first need to define our terms. What exactly is a historical hoax? It's not simply a myth, like the tales of Greek gods or Norse legends. Mythology, while not factually literal, serves cultural and symbolic purposes. Nor is a hoax merely a historical error, an honest mistake made with incomplete information. A historical hoax is a deliberate fabrication intentionally crafted to deceive and presented as genuine history. Consider this. If mythology aims to illuminate deeper truths through symbolic narratives, historical hoaxes aim to obscure truth for specific, often self-serving, purposes. What makes a hoax successful? Several key elements are consistently at play. First, there's a sensational claim. Hoaxes often hinge on extraordinary assertions that capture public imagination, lost civilizations, hidden conspiracies, miraculous relics. These claims are designed to be inherently intriguing and easily shareable. Next, the hoaxers present fabricated evidence. This might take the form of forged documents, like the donation of Constantine, or manipulated artifacts, such as the Piltdown Man. The evidence is crafted to lend credibility to the initial sensational claim. Often, successful hoaxes exploit existing biases and beliefs. The protocols of the Elders of Zion preyed on pre-existing anti-Semitism to gain traction and inflict immense harm. Think about how easily misinformation spreads online today. It often preys on pre-existing opinions and fears. Motivations behind hoaxes are varied, ranging from financial gain through selling fake artifacts to political manipulation, like using forged documents to justify power. Sometimes, the motivation is simpler, notoriety, or even a twisted sense of amusement in fooling experts and the public. Regardless of motive, the impact of historical hoaxes can be significant, shaping historical narratives, fueling prejudices, and even altering political landscapes. Therefore, understanding historical hoaxes isn't just about uncovering past deceptions. It's about developing a critical framework to analyze information, question claims, and ultimately, to better discern truth from falsehood in any context. Are you starting to see how these elements might apply to more modern misinformation as well? Now, let's move from understanding the anatomy of a hoax to actively applying these insights. How can we, in our daily lives, become better detectors of historical or even contemporary fabrications? Imagine you encounter a sensational claim online about a newly discovered ancient artifact, proving a radical new theory about human origins. The first step? Skepticism. Ask yourself, what is the sensational claim being made, and does it sound too extraordinary to be true? This raises a red flag. Next, investigate the evidence. Is the artifact presented by reputable archaeologists and institutions? Is the research published in peer-reviewed journals? Or is the evidence anecdotal, presented on a website with no clear credentials, relying heavily on dramatic pronouncements? This scrutiny of evidence is crucial. Consider the Piltdown Man. Initially accepted due to expert endorsement, but eventually debunked through rigorous scientific re-examination. Be aware of your own biases. Does the claim confirm something you already strongly believe or want to believe? Hoaxes often prey on confirmation bias. If a historical narrative perfectly aligns with your political or social views, approach it with extra caution. Finally, consider the motives. Who benefits from this artifact being deemed genuine and this radical theory being accepted? Is there financial gain, political advantage, or ideological agenda at play? Unraveling the motive can often expose the deception. Challenges exist, of course. Some hoaxes are meticulously crafted, designed to fool even experts. Emotional investment can cloud judgment, making it difficult to objectively assess evidence. Overcoming these obstacles requires cultivating intellectual humility, being willing to change your mind when presented with new evidence, and seeking diverse perspectives from credible sources. By practicing these steps, we move from passive consumers to active critical thinkers, better equipped to navigate the complex world of historical narratives and separate fact from fiction. Moving beyond basic detection, advanced hoax discernment requires delving into deeper contextual analysis. It's not enough to simply identify red flags. We must understand the intellectual and social landscape in which a hoax emerged. Consider the power of historical context. A sophisticated hoax often exploits the anxieties, beliefs, and power structures of its time. To truly unravel it, we must immerse ourselves in that era, Take the example of the Protocols of the Elders of Zion. While easily dismissed today as crude anti-Semitic propaganda, its initial success lay in its exploitation of early 20th century anxieties about social change, modernization, and secret societies. To fully grasp its insidious nature, we need to understand the historical context of rampant anti-Semitism in Tsarist Russia and the broader European climate of fear and conspiracy theorizing. Expert opinions from historians specializing in this period are invaluable in dissecting such complex hoaxes. These pivotal case studies demonstrate that advanced hoax detection is not just about spotting surface-level inconsistencies, but about understanding the deeper historical currents that allow deception to take hold and spread. To solidify our understanding of historical hoaxes, let's consider the weight of expert analysis and concrete data. When Lorenzo Valla, a 15th century scholar, meticulously examined the donation of Constantine, his linguistic analysis and historical contextualization were groundbreaking. He didn't just rely on gut feeling. His expertise in philology allowed him to dissect the Latin text, revealing anachronisms and stylistic inconsistencies that demonstrably placed the document centuries after Constantine's era. This wasn't mere speculation. It was evidence-based debunking, a triumph of scholarly rigor. Similarly, the exposure of the Piltdown Man hoax relied heavily on scientific advancements. Fluorine dating, a technique unavailable in the early 20th century, provided hard data proving the disparate ages of the skull and jawbone fragments. This wasn't just a matter of opinion. It was empirical, evidence dismantling a decades-long deception. Paleontologists, geologists, and anatomists contributed their expertise, each piece of scientific data chipping away at the fabricated narrative until the truth was undeniable. The real-world implications of these debunkings are profound. The donation of Constantine, once exposed, weakened papal claims to secular power, significantly altering the political landscape of Europe. The Piltdown hoax, while a scientific embarrassment, served as a crucial lesson in scientific rigor and the dangers of confirmation bias within the scientific community. Perhaps most chillingly, the enduring legacy of the Protocols of the Elders of Zion underscores the devastating societal impact of historical hoaxes fueled by prejudice. Despite being repeatedly exposed as a forgery by historians and journalists since the early 20th century, documented in works like Norman Cohn's Warrant for Genocide, this hoax continues to incite anti-Semitism and fuel hate groups globally. The Southern Poverty Law Center, among other organizations, continuously tracks the spread of anti-Semitic conspiracy theories online, directly linked to the narratives perpetuated by the protocols. These are not just abstract historical curiosities. They are potent forces shaping real-world prejudices and actions. Understanding historical hoaxes, therefore, isn't merely an academic pursuit. It's an essential component of informed citizenship, enabling us to recognize and resist contemporary misinformation and its potentially harmful consequences. Reliable data and expert analysis are our strongest defenses against deception. So, you're probably thinking, okay, hoaxes are bad, critical thinking is good, but how does this really help me today? It's not just about spotting fake ancient relics, is it? Think of it this way. Understanding historical hoaxes is like building a mental firewall. Experts in cognitive psychology, like Daniel Kahneman, whose work on biases won him a Nobel Prize, basically tell us our brains are wired for shortcuts. Hoaxes exploit these mental shortcuts, our tendency to believe compelling stories and trust seemingly authoritative sources. The actionable insight is to consciously activate our System 2 thinking, that slower, more analytical part of our brain. When you encounter a shocking headline or a claim that seems too good to be true, pause. Don't just react emotionally. Instead, ask yourself those key questions. Who is making this claim? What's their evidence? What's their potential motive? It sounds simple, but according to fact-checking organizations like Snopes, a huge chunk of online misinformation thrives because people don't pause and question. They just share. And are we ever truly immune? Probably not. History teaches us that even the smartest minds have been fooled. But understanding the mechanisms of deception, being aware of our own biases, and actively practicing critical thinking makes us significantly less vulnerable. It's about building resilience, not achieving perfect immunity. Think of it as boosting your intellectual immune system, and that, in today's world, is more valuable than ever. Let's recap our journey into the world of historical hoaxes. We've seen how meticulously crafted deceptions, from forged documents to fabricated fossils, have not only fooled experts but have also shaped history and fueled societal prejudices. The core lesson: blind acceptance is a dangerous path. Active critical thinking, questioning narratives, and scrutinizing sources are our essential defenses against deception, both historical and contemporary. So, what are your next steps? Firstly, put these critical thinking skills into practice. Don't passively consume information. Actively question it. When you encounter a historical claim, especially one that seems extraordinary or aligns perfectly with your existing beliefs, pause and investigate. Check the sources, look for corroboration, and consider the potential motives behind the narrative. This active engagement is the key to becoming a more discerning consumer of information. Furthermore, continue your exploration. History is a vast and endlessly fascinating field. Delve deeper into specific historical periods, explore different types of hoaxes, and share your insights with others. Join discussions, engage in respectful debate, and contribute to a more informed and critically aware community. By embracing a mindset of continuous learning and active questioning, you empower yourself to navigate the complexities of truth and falsehood, not just in history, but in the world around you. Become a truth seeker, a mythbuster, and a more informed citizen. The journey to understanding truth is ongoing, and your active participation is crucial. So, as we close the book on historical hoaxes, remember this: the stories we tell ourselves about the past and present shape our reality. Mythology, in its purest form, seeks to illuminate the human condition through symbolic narrative. Historical hoaxes, on the other hand, deliberately distort reality, often for less noble purposes. Learning to discern the difference, to recognize the fingerprints of deception, empowers us to become more discerning interpreters of all narratives we encounter. Embrace the ongoing quest for truth. History is not a fixed set of facts, but a continuous process of discovery, questioning, and reevaluation. By applying the critical thinking skills we've explored, you become not just a passive recipient of information, but an active participant in uncovering the real stories behind the myths and the truths hidden beneath the hoaxes. Go forth, question everything, and let your pursuit of knowledge illuminate the world around you. The most compelling stories are often found not in accepting narratives at face value, but in the rigorous and rewarding journey of seeking out the genuine article.